Awesome. Woo! It is the first show for the two of us. Yay! And we're probably going to be a hot mess, but it's okay.
It does not matter. Look, it's not going to be a hot mess. I just put the caption on. Welcome to our show. I did it. Okay. So, Veronica, would you start to say something about you and the show?
Sure. Well, hi everyone. I'm Veronica Stewart, and my company is named Ingenious Agile. Really focusing on rethinking with purpose and truth. I'm originally an Agilist, but moving forward more in helping people be re-energized in their careers and really, what is that theme? Going to work and feeling like it's Friday night.
Yeah.
We decided to create this show, and I reached out to Roxana. We're both a GCologists from the GCIndex. And crazy, but the first time we met, we started cracking up laughing. And so we probably will end up digressing a little bit sometimes in the show. I know we are. But we want to get people to rethink and challenge being happier at work. And I think that's a good segment probably into you, Roxana.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, it is. Because what I do as the founder and chief game changer, and we're going to talk about that, of All Personal, what I do is I help teams work better together, and I help them build a game-changing future of work. This is my dream, to change the future of work. And I think with everything that's been going on in the world these days, it's a good time for us to start creating the change now so that we can be happy about it later. So yeah, like the Friday night. People can be happy at work. And I think this is why you and I, Veronica, we resonated so much, because we are talking about how, you can feel that you matter and that what you do matters, and that makes you super happy about who you are as well.
Yeah, and people want to just be themselves. You want to feel that, I'll give you a perfect example. Why can't you wear jeans to work? What does that make on a status of the difference between wearing your business casual khakis or whatever, and the guys have to wear their collared polos or what might have you, that it matters going to work. Especially in a lot of companies where there isn't anything, they're not in a courtroom, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a particular attire that you have to do. You're sitting in a cube all day, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous.
Well, there are so many things that were ridiculous. I mean, think about it. Before this pandemic, there were companies that wouldn't allow people to work from home because they wouldn't trust their own people to work from home, because they wouldn't trust that they would be doing the work. And so to me, that's another thing. And that's something else that we're going to talk about in our next episodes.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to digress.
Right? Like, how can you hire people and then not trust them that they're going to do the work? So that is another thing. Okay, so let's not digress. Let me just play with another view here, because why not?
Isn't that so pretty? I like it.
Right? Okay.
So the crazy thing, as you're bringing this up, I'll chit chat, is that Roxana and I, as I mentioned, we're both GCologists from the GCIndex, where you can measure impact. Had no idea we have the same profile, and there's like thousands of variations, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Now, we do know, we played around with it before we got on the show. We took the predictive index, which is more of a personality behavior psychometric, and we are not the same. I'm actually a promoter and you are a maverick, right? Mm-hmm. So we probably would say we have different personalities and behavioral driven, but we have the exact same way that we want to contribute and make an impact. And so today, what we wanted to talk about was our experience with the the GC Index, let me say that better, and how we are as game changers. There's the view, and what it did for us personally, and then probably just talk about it together. Do you want to start with yours, Roxana, about how your journey and experience about when you found out that you're a game changer strategist?
Well, yeah, that was, I think the beauty of this is that people have an aha moment after they've gone through the assessment and when they see the results and when they get the report and they start to really digest what it says about them. So for me, when I found out, okay, that first of all, I looked at the score and I was thinking, oh my God, what are these grades? Why is my score so low? And I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And then I understood that it's not about the score, it's about the energy that you have for one proclivity or another or a combination of these. And it's funny because the score goes from 1 to 10, right? So for us, ending up having the same score, the same profile, what were the odds? I think like we're probably that's weird, right? that's that's weird.
We're aligned,
But
right?
wait. But for me, when I saw it, it was understanding why sometimes I felt that people didn't get me
Yeah.
and didn't get what I wanted to do, when for me everything was so obvious and it was so easy, because as a game changer you would come up with all of these ideas, and then you start talking about them to people, and then some of them understand you, some of them don't understand you, and they look at you like you're crazy, or they look at you and then they move to something else as if they didn't hear what you just said. And for me, that kind of explained why, because then I understood, okay, so my ideas can be very clear in my head, but it's also about how I can express them and put them into a strategic or more business context. So seeing that I also score pretty high on the strategist, that helped me understand that, yes, I can actually express my ideas in a way that other people understand what that means from a more pragmatic point of view. Because that, for me, the implementer, which is super pragmatic, is very low, is a 2. So I don't have, I can implement, and obviously when you run a business you have to implement things, but it's a big difference between implementing things that you think about, that are your ideas, so implementing your ideas, and implementing other people's ideas, or moving through the tried and tested, or through routines. For me, routines are killing me. Even when I implement my own ideas, I find ways of doing that differently so I don't die. Because otherwise, if I have to do the same thing the same way all over again, it's just killing me. So that is, for me, that was helpful, and it explained my journey, also in the corporate world, running and building a learning and development department, because that is when I felt I was at my best. When you build something, and I had this opportunity and this freedom to build something from scratch. There was nothing there, and then I had to build it. I had to build content, I had to build a team, I had to build curriculums and everything. So that was, for me, that was awesome. And it's part of my the way that I feel I matter when I do work.
Yeah. Do you ever feel restricted? I feel that sometimes my behaviors will come out and it's not always positive. And I realize that when someone's trying to restrict the things that I want to do.
Yeah, when when that happens, I learned it's tough. That's a tough one for me as well, because I don't feel, it feels like, you know how it feels for a game changer when they have this idea and they know it's good and
Mhm.
somebody challenges it. It's like they're challenging you as a person, not the idea. So
Yeah, I
that
get
is,
define it.
yeah, it's like, what do you mean I'm no good? Like, why are you challenging me? And it's not, I've learned to work with that, but it's still, I don't know, it's still a hard one to deal with.
Yeah, we haven't done your scarf model yet, so we'll have to do that and see. But mine, which is your social drivers, um, my number one, imagine that, is autonomy.
Hmm.
I need autonomy. And when that starts to impact, which I think most of us probably game changers probably have high on that one,
Yeah.
that's where I have to learn how to control all my behaviors around that because
Hmm.
it's so hard. It's almost going against the current is the best way for me to describe that feeling. Like even though you learn all these techniques, in coaching or self-awareness, emotional
Hmm.
intelligence, but that very essence, it feels like you're stripping away who I am when those events happen.
Yeah.
That's the best way for me to describe that. I've been that way my whole entire life. Um, I think the game changer is probably how I dealt with doing implementation or doing things mundane that I didn't like. I used to, as a
Mhm.
kid, make up games or turn everything into a game. Like it was
Yeah.
like a challenge for me. I always lived in the gray. I mean, I figured out how to graduate from high school in 3 years. I figured out that I had enough credits in college and figured out how I can start teaching in a state without having to go do my student teaching. Because I was like, forget this. This is stupid. I'd rather go back. I'd rather start going to work. I mean, I've always been that way. I've jumped different careers. I found different things to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I continuously do that with myself. And it explained a lot where I don't know, maybe your family or people judging of why can't you stay in a career, 401k, you gotta, save for when you retire type of, thinking here, especially, here in the US, 401k is like a big thing. And, oh, by the way, I live in Florida and Roxana is in Canada. So if you don't
Yeah.
know, we are from different continents, or not continents, but different countries. I don't even know
Different
my
countries.
geography. Isn't that horrible?
Well.
But for me, implementation, I feel the same way where
Mhm.
even when I was on my stepper this morning, which I created this morning routine to take care of myself, I'm thinking ideas while I'm actually on the stepper for 30 minutes just to make it fun. And I allowed myself some slack time between coffee and getting on that stepper in the morning to do some random like thinking. I had to bake in some of that just so I feel that I don't like a robot.
Yeah.
You feel that when you have to do certain things, you're like, oh my God, can someone else do this?
Well, and people can. I mean, there are people who love doing that, and that's the beauty of it. I think that is what we discovered with the GC index is that it gives you a clear picture. It's so visual and it tells you, okay, so you have energy for this, you have a drive for this. This is what you love putting your energy into. And there are other people who put their energy in something else and they do it and they like it. So we're not, and that is why we also started this show, because it's people can see what they have energy for, a natural
Yeah,
inclination for, and what makes them happy, because that is the key. You can't live your life just for the weekends or for the holidays or for, I don't know, a day off work, because we spend so much time at work, more time even now with, and that's another thing that we'll cover in our show, is that people have started to work more as they started to work from home, because
yeah,
there hasn't been this. this line between going to work and coming back home, and you're working from home, so it's hard to stop, right? You don't have this 9 to 5, doesn't exist anymore. And I have to say, on the one hand, I'm happy that it doesn't exist, because it means we need to turn it into something
Yeah,
else.
down with the 9 to 5.
Exactly. Because we all have, so okay, there are jobs and jobs, but for most of them, there can be some sort of flexibility. And I think we've seen that, and we've seen how this works and how well it can work. The only downside of this is burnout and the risk of burnout right now. If
Yeah.
people, as you said, you have your morning routine, you take care of yourself. That's the thing. People need to, we need to switch from working as an employee that goes somewhere to work and then comes back at home, then they're a different person, into that model where they are entrepreneurs, even, or intrapreneurs, because they're entrepreneurs working as employees somewhere, right? So it's like having this clear picture that you're the same person. You're not a different person. You don't have different personal self and professional self, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you look on
you.
LinkedIn threads, when somebody will post something, I actually get quite amused by it. You actually, that could be TV on its own, people. Watch when someone posts something and read all the comments, especially one that gets a lot of comments, and all the diverse responses. One, I start to wonder if they even actually read the article. And two, it's context, right, is everything. But the other aspect of it is somebody brought up work and personal. I like to go to work, and then when I go home, it's home. And they didn't like that working from home model. But then this is where I started to think about is how many people out there are not aligned to what actually energizes them. And so they feel that going to work is work, and then when they go home, it's a whole different world. I know that I put a post a couple of weeks ago about split identity.
Yeah, I remember it. That was
And I had a hard time with that. I first started out as a teacher, a school teacher. Really, in school as a teacher, you can be yourself. You don't really have to worry about it. It's your own classroom. Love the autonomy. I mean, the only thing is that you have young kids and you just have to kind of watch your language. It's not like me, like right now, I can say shit and whatever. But, those are the things that you try to be respectful because you have impressionable minds.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you are yourself. You could talk about life. You could do anything. And when I went into corporate world, I was in my 20s, very giddy, very happy. And I remember an older woman, and she said she basically pegged me and stereotyped me as a ditzy young girl. And
we need to talk about stereotyping.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other subject, right?
I'm putting it down. Yeah.
And so to kind of fast forward that piece, is that all of this about the split identity, it got me to start separating who I was outside of work and who I was at home, because I was like, I don't want to go to work. I left teaching, and now I'm in the corporate world, and that's how they judge me, is I don't get listened to. I know I wasn't like somebody that wasn't intelligent. For crying out loud, I went to school with MCATers that were going to be doctors. I was a biology major. I wasn't an idiot. And that really hurt my feelings, that I had to be someone else. And then I kind of got through it, but I jumped between larger companies and smaller companies throughout my whole entire career, because I would be in environments where being yourself was a lot more accepted. And then you go into these larger corporations where you had to be more polished and you looked a certain way. I don't know about you, but if you've ever worked in those different environments, the smaller company, startup, like, small environment where you wear many hats versus these large hierarchical levels.
Yeah.
And and how people will end up being certain things. Now, getting back to our profile and being energized and what people do, I think as you go into lots of layers in organizations, I think being aligned and being energized what you do becomes a little bit more harder to experiment than when you're in a smaller company where you may wear multiple hats and sign up for different things.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting thing, right?
Exactly. And I think the way that you understand and the way that you build this common language, because that it's all about that. And it's what, let me put this on again, because I like just playing with this stuff. And by the way, this is something that game changers would do very easily, is just adopt stuff very quickly. So
Yeah,
when
we
you
don't have a
look,
problem with change.
yeah, we don't have a problem with change. I mean, and this is why we started this show. I think it was, and starting it like that, and we're gonna learn as we go. And that's
Not being perfect. That's
and
probably something we should point out, right?
exactly. And it's not like in this world today, I don't think anyone can even think about aiming for perfection, because things change from one day to the next. So, but when we look at this, it's just easy to understand what matters to people, like what's really important to me, what's really important to you, when it comes to what impact am I making at work. And then we can talk about motivation, about engagement, about inclusivity. That is because you cannot expect everybody to conform to the same pattern and then also feel included and engaged and motivated, because not everybody is the same. And I think, like, I thought we'd figured that out way back. I mean,
Yeah, and I shared the Peter Dill's NLP change logical model that was shared with me a little bit ago, and I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant, where we try to improve people's skill sets. We try to improve the behaviors around people. Like I am an agile coach right now, and we deal with a lot of agile transformations. And what do they do? Behavioral. And we never get back to why someone wants to put their energy in doing something. So when we look at our scores, even though we might have lower scores and we have the game changer being more prevalent in that 7 to 10 range, it doesn't mean that we can't implement. What it means is everything that we do is driven by that game changer profile.
Yeah.
And the outcome that we're trying to achieve is centered around that game changer. So if we can create an outcome, like you and I doing the show, this was something that our game changer was very driven. We have an aligned outcome, and we have no problem implementing.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the crazy things that I do, you do things, and we find our ways to contribute and make an impact to it because it's all centered around that game changer. So I think that's probably something important for us to call out in these profiles. Just because you're a 2, a 4, it doesn't mean that you can't implement. What it means is the outcome and how you put your energy is solely driven around that game changer.
Yeah.
Now, we may or may not want to focus on implementation and all the different approaches, or really looking at the deep dive of implementing. It's just, we just want to get it done because the outcome is more about centered to make the game changer feel better, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So if we really wanted to figure out how to maybe polish something better or look at how we implement, then we probably want to engage with somebody that has a higher inclination, that cares about focusing their energy on that particular topic. Because for us, we have no problem saying, here, take it. As long as you see our idea, go ahead, do it for us.
Exactly. Yeah. I just need to know that you get me.
Yeah.
Or that you get it. It's like, because what I've heard from, going through these profiles with different people, and a lot of them were game changers, and most of them were saying, yeah, well, you know what? They don't get it. And it's something that a game changer would say about when they talk to people about their ideas. Is like,
Gosh, I
why
said
don't
that all
people
the
get it?
time.
Why don't people get it? And it's like, it's part of that is, yes, they don't get it because it's also a lot in your head. So for
Yeah.
you, it might be clear and you might already see the beautiful outcome, but that's what they don't get. They don't get the outcome. And maybe the outcome for them, it's not that important. Because for somebody who's an implementer, they don't want to change the status quo. They would go for the tried and tested. So why go for that outcome when we change everything? Why change everything all of a sudden? Do we really need to?
Yeah, we see the possibilities. Changes.
Exactly.
This is where, in today's world, we got 4 minutes before we're wrapping up our
I know.
first show. It's about seeing those possibilities. And right now, I think what's important is the takeaway probably for today. We want people to be able to go to work, feel energized, be happier, feel like they don't have to divide personal and work. And if you may be stuck and you can't see your way through the different possibilities out there, and change is maybe a little bit harder for you, I say go find a game changer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Talking about ideas.
Because they help see those possibilities and they probably will stretch you.
Yeah.
Now, for me, if I get where I'm swirling, which anyone that knows me, I go find somebody that might be a polisher, implementer, or maybe I need to make sense of something. I'm not yet quite clear about it. Somebody that's a strategist. And so we know, and I think you would agree, if I, speaking for you, is we know we need other people to help us be successful. And one of the things I love for me, and this is why we connected, is I feed off other people's energy. I actually love that and I seek that. And thank you for accepting my invitation, as I've been declined by some people to ever want to do things together. And I'm okay with that. But I needed it. I needed the energy because it helps me drive more. And some people are fine working independently. Now I'm independent on my autonomous thinking, but I love working with people. It's actually that's where my personality.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. That's the kind of personality for me.
Oh, I'm a promoter.
Yeah. So for me, it's the idea, the exchange of ideas and the possibilities that we just create together. That for me is super energizing, and I get so excited about that. So I could talk for days. And I'm not an extrovert. That's why people take me for an extrovert. I'm not. I'm an ambivert now, but because I had to, and that's another thing that we can discuss on the show in the next episode. But I started as a super introvert, but when I get excited about this idea exchange and future possibilities and game-changing possibilities, that opens up a whole new world.
That is a great subject we need to put, is when somebody is energized by something, what does it do to introverts? Like for me, I'm extremely extroverted. I do turn into an introvert when I need downtime. It's like I plug myself in to recharge my batteries. But I have no problem. I mean, that's why I seek you, and probably why I'm a promoter, So we got to wrap up here. So we have a YouTube channel. Yes, we ran into some kinks, and we couldn't broadcast live today. So we'll be uploading these recorded sessions into YouTube, and then when they're live, we'll be streaming live from there. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's called Game Changing Work. We also have a LinkedIn page called Game Changing Work as well, that you can follow us for any latest events. And be sure to know that because we have endless possibilities of ideas, this is probably not the only thing we're going to do.
Oh, no, for sure not. So stay with us. See you on Friday morning, 8:25 to 8:55. Ask your questions in the meantime. If you follow us on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can ask your questions to us, and then we'll answer them on the show.
Yep. And we still haven't figured out our topic for Friday. What we'll do is we will socialize that.
Yes, exactly.
But we're going to get better at it. I think we are more worried about technical airing right now. All right. Well, bye, everyone. And you have a wonderful day. And to you too, Miss Roxana.
Yes, you too, Miss Veronica.
Bye.